All right, so lesson 5 is about the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so the Pythagorean theorem is still looking at our triangles, okay, but we're looking at triangles that have a 90-degree angle, okay, and we're looking for the sides of these triangles. We want to know how long the sides are, okay. Now, some vocabulary that you need to know is that the two sides that are bordering the 90-degree angle, these are called legs, okay? And the side that's opposite of the 90-degree angle, we call that the hypotenuse. Okay, and it's important to remember those, okay? And then the Pythagorean theorem is a formula that they use variables. So they say a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, so what are those? Well, a is a leg, b is a leg, and c is the hypotenuse. Okay, always. It doesn't matter which leg goes first, but the hypotenuse always has to be after the equal sign. Okay, so things to remember. So this is the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, and then of course squared, we know, we multiply it twice, all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so all right, so here's where it talks about your a squared plus b squared equals c squared. All right, and why that is. And if it doesn't work, then it's not a right angle and all this kind of stuff. Okay, so look what they want us to do. They want us to find c. So they take 12 squared plus 9 squared equals c squared. 12 squared is 144. Why? Because 12 times 12 is 144. 9 squared is 81 because 9 times 9 is 81. They add those up and they get that 225 equals c squared. Now here's where you're going to need a calculator, okay? Because we don't want c squared. This doesn't say c squared. This says c, okay? So to find just c, we use the inverse of a square and take the square root, okay? So when you're using your calculator, the square root sort of looks like the Nike symbol, all right? So some calculators you can press it first and then put the number. Other calculators you need to put the number first. So 225, press the square root button, and then it's 15, okay? Now it says that it's plus or minus, and the reason it's plus or minus is because that you could put a positive or a negative in there. But think about a triangle. Can we have a negative side? No. So it's always going to be positive, okay? So let's look at, here's another example, okay? This time they want us to find b, okay? So we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. They multiply it out. Then to get b by itself, right, they subtracted 64 from both sides, got b squared equals 512, took the square root, and you get this decimal, okay? Now you might have to round, so be careful. This one might not be that, but there's your 512, take the square root. Yep, they did round. So look, 22.62, right? 2 does not change your 6, and so that's why they stopped at the 6. Okay, so let's look at some examples for ourselves. So here's your triangle. So we have 24, we have 18, and we have C. Now they already labeled that it was C, but we can definitely see that it is the letter C because it's across from the 90-degree angle. So we use our formula, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So it doesn't matter. Name whichever side you want A. This could be A, this could be B, it could be flip-flopped, it doesn't matter. All right, so we have 24 squared plus 18 squared equals c squared. Okay, so you might need a calculator, right? 24, and you can either use the squared symbol, which is this one right here, or you can go 24 times 24. So there's 576. 18 squared, so 18. Remember I said you could press the squared button, so I could press that. And there's your 324. All right, so since these are on the same side, we can add them up. So 324 plus 576 is 900 equals c squared. But remember, you're not done because we don't want c squared, we want c. So we're going to take the square root. So I press the square root button, and my answer is 30. So c equals 30. And then look at the picture. What are they? They're yards. So it's actually 30 yards. Okay. Look at B. There's your 90-degree angle. So we have 3, we have B, and we have 8. All right, so this is your C because it's across from the 90-degree angle. They already labeled this one B, which means this one has to be A. Okay, so A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So 3 squared plus B squared equals 8 squared. Okay, all I'm doing is plugging in the values. All right, so we get 9 plus B squared equals 64. Okay, I just know my math facts. You can use your calculator. Now, look what we have. Your B is on the same side as that 9. So we need to get rid of this 9. So we get B squared equals 55. Then we can take the square root. So take your calculator. 55 square root is 7.41. Does the 1 change the 4? No, it does not. So 7.4, and then what do we have? Miles, M-I. Okay, let's look at C. Here's your 90-degree angle. We have 17, we have A, and we have 20. All right, so this 20 is your C because it's across from the 90-degree angle. They already labeled this one A, which means this one's B. Okay, so A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So A squared, which is what we need, plus 17 squared equals 20 squared. Okay, so A squared plus 17 times 17, 289. 20 squared. Okay, I can go 20 times 20, or I can go 20 squared. 400. All right, so take a look. Your A squared is on the same side as this 289. So to get rid of that, we got to use the opposite or the inverse. So we're going to subtract 289. Okay, borrow if you need to, or use your calculator. And so we get 111. Now we take the square root to find out what A is. So 111 square root. Okay, so what do we get? 10.5. Does the 3 change the 5? No, it does not. So 10.5, and then what do we have? Centimeters. Okay. All right, so then it says converse of a Pythagorean theorem. So if the sides of the triangle have the A and the B and the C, is it a right triangle? So basically you're proving it if it's a right triangle. So they're going to give you the 3 values. You have to put it in the formula, and if it is correct, then it's a right triangle. But if it's not correct, then it doesn't work. So let's look at 2 examples of those. Okay, so we've got 36, 48, and 60. Okay, now the biggest side is always C. Okay, it will always be C, whatever the biggest side is. A and B, it doesn't matter, but we can just keep them in order. So we get 36 squared, right? So A squared plus 48 squared, because that's B squared. And that has to equal C squared, which is 60. squared. Okay, so let's find those answers. So 36 squared is 1296. 48 squared is 2304. And 60 squared is 3600. Now, because these two numbers are on the same side, we add them up. Okay? So what do we have? 1296 plus 2304 equals 3600. So this equals 3600. This is already 3600. So is this a true statement? Yes, it is. So we would write, yes, it's a right triangle. Okay, let's look at E. So we have 4, 7, and 5. Okay, now remember I told you that the biggest side is always C. So that means this is C. And then I'll make this A and this B. Doesn't really matter about A and B, but C matters. All right, so A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So 4 squared plus 5 squared equals 7 squared. It's important that you put them in order. All right, so we get 16 plus 25 equals 49. Because these are on the same side, we add them, right? Sides are the equal sign. So we get 41. Does 41 equal 49? No, it does not. So no, this is not a right triangle. Okay? Use your formula, use your calculator.